everybody and welcome to a brand new video. Today's video is about 3 things you have to do with driver when you're playing golf. I mean that you have to do these 3 things. It's going to lead to longer, freer flowing drives and hitting more fairways. And we know if we hit more fairways, it leads to better scores. So before we get into today's video, I've got 2 things I've got to ask you. Firstly, don't forget, if you're new to this channel, smash that subscribe button. I bring you daily, regular content that's going to help you take your game to the next level. Secondly, I've got a question to ask you. I've got a question. How many fairways do you hit per round? So for example, we've got 14 fairways here at Stockport. We've got 4 par 3s. So out of 14 fairways, I feel good if I hit 10 to 11, 12 of those fairways. I feel like I've got a really good game and I've got an opportunity then to create a good score. Comment down below how many fairways out of your opportunities of fairways to hit do you hit at your golf course. Give me a comment down below. Love to know how many fairways you're hitting now, and then once you've watched this video, how many fairways are you going to hit? Let's get into the 3 things you've got to do with driver. These 3 must-dos are in no particular order. The first one I want to start with is being balanced through the shot. A lot of people think when they get the driver in their hand, it's an opportunity to hit it as hard as we can, be off balance, and ultimately fall over after the golf shot. I'm going to hit a shot here, and how many people will resonate with this feeling? I'm going to hit it now, hit it away, we fall back and we're facing almost like off the target to the left or off to the right, but ultimately we've not held that pose into impact. Now if we look at all the top guys on the European Tour, on the PGA Tour, the very pinnacle of our game, these guys hold their finish, their balanced finish, and they still hit it a long way. So you think of your Rory McIlroys, your Dustin Johnsons, your Brooks Koepka, they have all this speed, but they still are balanced to that finish. So the first thing I really want you to do as part of your golf game out on the golf course is pose that finish. Imagine you're going to hold that finish as someone's going to take a photo for you. You would hit that drive away, balanced and pose. So we're going to try and hold that pose for 3 seconds after every single drive. And I promise you, if you're more balanced and the body's moving better, we're going to be more consistent in terms of strike. So more consistent in terms of strike means more fairways hit and greater distance. So rule number 1, I really want you to think of being balanced through the golf shot, holding that pose, holding that finish for 3 seconds. That is my first must do. Think of the analogy of a crane. If the bottom of the crane was moving, where the arm would interact with the cargo would be totally different. Now we're doing this at our fastest speed with driver and the fastest at which we'll move a golf club. So if we can hold that finish and be balanced to that finish, it's definitely going to help us be more consistent out on the golf course. Let's get into number 2. So number 2 is something about how we can prepare for the golf shot out on the golf course. Now if you hear this analogy, aim small, miss big, everybody always talks about trying to pick the smallest leaf, the smallest target, whether it be the left edge of the bunker, the right edge of a pylon, the branch on a tree. And a lot of people, this works for them. Aiming small, miss big, they hit more fairways, and it really gives them a sense of direction when they're stood over the golf ball. Now for me, and a lot of you watching this, I want you to flip this on its head. I want you to imagine, instead of feeling like you're aiming at a small target, having to hit it down a tightrope on a really minute area you're trying to hit it on, I want us to think of now we've got an alleyway to hit it down. So what do I mean by that? Let's have a look. So this is exactly what I mean. A lot of people would stand behind the golf ball, and it's still good to stand behind the golf ball, pick your small target, trace it down with that intermediate target to create good alignment. But what I want you to do now is, I want you to feel like you create that intermediate target, which is in the middle of our alleyway now. So every time we're hitting a drive, we've got an alleyway to hit it down. So if I asked you a question now and you looked at the screen and said, could you hit it down the alleyway or start this ball down the alleyway every single time? You'd probably answer yes. So if you can do that, that's going to help us feel freer over the golf ball, more free flowing, better rhythm, ultimately better strikes and more fairways hit. So changing that idea of the concept of having to be so perfect with our drives and now feeling like we have to hit it down an alleyway, this is exactly the way I want you to go out on the golf course. So I'm going to hit this one away now. I've gone through the process of aiming at a target. My intermediate target and my target is exactly down the middle of my alleyway. I've got my right and my left edge. And all I've got to feel now is that if I have a good chance of starting it down my alleyway, I've got a good chance of hitting that fairway. And again, going back to hitting more fairways, improving that number of fairways hit, it means we're far less chipping out of trouble, giving us more chance of getting net 3 points. So let me hit this one away. Feeling now free over the golf ball, not having to be so perfect. Start it down the alleyway. Use the alleyway as a good visual to help you feel a lot more free flowing over the golf ball. Very free flowing, and that's the nooks and the crannies of tip number 2. Allow yourself to be more free flowing over the golf ball with the idea of having to hit it down an alleyway and not to be so perfect. So remember those rules. Pick your target, pick your intermediate target, which now forms the middle of your alleyway. Stand over the golf ball, know where your target is, but realize you don't have to be so perfect. You've got an alleyway to hit it down now, so now you can be free flowing, better rhythm, and less conscious of having to be so perfect to get this ball to land exactly where you want it to be. You've got an alleyway to hit it down, and that's something you could apply to irons as well. So what is the final must do with driver? The final part of this video, I want to just talk about the takeaway in the driver swing. So a lot of the time people get this driver, and because it's a longer club, it feels like they have to swing it more around the body. Now that is its case. We will swing this golf club a little bit flatter than if we swung, say, a pitching wedge. But because of this, I feel like people get the idea that we have to feel like we roll this face open, or as a result of swinging it more around the body, we see this face roll open during this backswing. So what I want to add to your swing out on the golf course is a little bit of a waggle. Justin Thomas has used this, and a lot of the top players have used this waggle before they hit a shot. So what I want you to do is, instead of feeling like we're rolling this face open and the logo of my glove and the face are pointing towards the sky, I want you to get into the habit of feeling like the butt end of my golf club has a laser on it. I'm going to keep it pointing at me all the way up until this golf club gets just under my hip height, and from there we swing it to the top and through, because ultimately if we can keep this club face squarer for longer, we're going to have a better chance of marrying that up at impact. Anytime we have to roll this, while rolling this face open during the backswing, we've got to do some sort of manipulation of the face to get it back to the golf ball at impact. So what I want to add to your golf swing now, so we got stage number 1, feeling balanced. Stage number 2, the concept of being not as perfect. Now I want you to feel like you're going to add a waggle in and getting this club face in what will feel stronger but more neutral. So not rolling it open because the swing feels more around. The feeling of keeping the butt of the club pointing back at you to hip height. So what I want you to form now as part of your routine is over the golf ball, look towards target, waggle, waggle, check it, one more look towards target, hit it away. So the idea and the feeling of me taking that waggle, which is a fresh feeling, straight into the golf shot. So the final one and the final part of this video, and a must-do you've got to do out on the golf course, is the waggle of trying to keep the club face squarer for longer and not allowing it to fan open during this backswing. And remember, the simple key point is, imagine the laser at the end of my golf club is going to point back at me for longer, not allow it to roll open and point way to the right. Feel it going to point back at me for longer. Let's summarize and let's finish today's video. So thank you for watching today's video on Alex Elliott Golf. I've given you 3 must-dos you've got to take to the course with driver. Now these are 3 things that anybody could actually add to their golf game. Number 1 was really trying to be balanced through the golf ball, and that's really going to help us be balanced down at impact. And you look at anybody that hits it a long way on tour or is a very good driver of the golf ball, they're very, very, very balanced through the golf shot. Number 2 was changing that concept of having to be so perfect over the golf ball, and now dissect your ball to target line, place your alleyway down either side of it, and that's really going to help you be a lot more free flowing and stop trying to be so perfect and stop trying to be so tense with the driver. Ultimately help us create a better swing. We know for relaxed, we know for free flowing, we create better swings over the golf ball. The final part of that video was really trying to keep control of the club face through the takeaway. So in essence, we're trying to feel that the butt of the club stays pointing at me for longer, or at you for longer, and that's really going to help you stop fanning the face open. And I feel that's kind of a natural thing people do because it's a longer club, because there's not a lot of loft on the club. It's an effort to feel a little bit more comfortable. So that is the end of today's video. All I've got to do now, guys, is thank you for watching it. As well as that, don't forget, if you didn't comment before about how many fairways you're hitting, hit that below. As well as that, smash that subscribe button to not miss any content going forwards. Remember, I bring you regular content that's going to help you raise your game to the next level.